Candace. I'm here in beautiful Big Island, Hawaii. And how I got here is very important because the first thing I want to say is when I saw you for the first time. I'm 68, but when I saw you for the first time, I said, just like Trump, you are a messenger. You have experience. Let me get it together. Because what I was told was to be humble. But what I have spent my entire life doing is making sense of what it is that's going on with the African Americans, because I was never black enough back then. I was raised as a Catholic, and I have a way of thinking and a way of being. And it's so important because what you're doing is so important, because there should be no rioting, because back then we didn't want to be manipulated by white folks, supposedly. But it wasn't just white folks that were manipulated. It was black folks, and that's why you have aristocracy in both colors, you see. And this is where it gets good. I watched it all go down, and I knew the truth from the very beginning, because in my hometown of Englewood, New Jersey, they rioted. And they had just put up housing for these very same people who gave themselves permission to march and to go to Wide's Corner and to throw bricks. And I stood on the porch because my father was an ambulance captain. And he was the dispatcher. And he said to me, I said, Dad, why is this going on? And he said to me, hurt people. And I carried that. And then I went through the whole thing about not being black enough. I said, but I was smart enough. There was a dictionary over here. There was a crystal radio that I could connect by something other than a boombox, kind of like saying. And over here was my, I can't remember right now, but I had a desk and it had drawers, and I was given the chance. But the reason that we're having such a hard chance is because what we've raised up, and I'm not talking about those children, I'm talking about the others, you see, the other children that they raise. Because you can't do anything right if you're of the same, you're going to end up with dummies. And that's who out in the street. And you can tell that there's not one person that was out there except for a few. And I'm saying out there in the streets. None of them had a damn idea about being a citizen in the United States of America. And we have, right in your hometown, we have Farrakhan. Oh, I could tell you that if there was anybody you could put your finger on, it was Farrakhan. And then if you want to put your other finger on something that is dealing with us today, it would be Hillary. Where does she live? Chicago. And there are many people who have an interest in Canada. And they also have an interest in the borders of Mexico. They was busy, you see, because the way to create a war, first thing you have to do so that you can have a war, I was told, is that you first corrupt the morals of the communities, let's say, or the states, or the world for what it's worth. Then you control their economy. You get everything together and you control the economy, which is what we're in right now if we don't wake up. And then, if that's not enough, they want to control the weather. And if that's not enough, there was one other thing. What was that? They control the weather. And I am inspired to tell you what I know because I am a person. And politics is the science of citizenship. And I have been busy all my life being a citizen of the United States of America. And it's important for me to tell you how proud I am for the first moment that I laid eyes on you. I said, this is a woman who is doing her homework. You see, she's doing her research. And she's moving up like the Jeffersons without any, no help. She's climbing that ladder. Why? Because we need her. And she and me, we understand that power, it runs up and down. You see, it's bilateral by nature. All I'm going to say is let's start climbing that ladder. It's still there. Our president has given us the opportunity to truly climb the ladder and to dispose of these people who think they have a hold on us. They've been trying. Look at their ages, and then you look behind them. Who they got that's coming up? Nobody. They spent all their time in the media. They spent all their time sucking and whatever to the community. I'm not mean. I'm just saying I've seen it. There's no way sometimes for me to explain it. There's no way for me, unless someone's asking me the valid questions about what's been going on since, my father gave me an understanding because, my mother did or somebody did, because the first really awareness I had was not Martin Luther King or some, it was about the mafia. And my father come running in and he said, they killed him. They killed him. Who? She said, who? He said, Anastasia. And it stuck with me. It stuck with me. And then they ran off into their bedroom. But that word stuck with me, and I'm connected with that word because I read and I research. And so if I'm researching about the mafia, I'm researching about who. You figure it out. You go and check it out. And when you do these things, you then get their kids to act like them. And so you have a mafia that goes really far back. And their vision of the world and being controlled. So this is how the research goes. And people don't know that. They're not interested in that. So they sit around and they listen to Maxine Waters. 80-something years old. Biden. Something kind of, he ain't even got it up there because he lost it up here. We got people who are still Pelosi. I don't understand, but she must know something. Maxine must know something. I don't know what kind of, how you say, in California, what kind of drug they took to be put to sleep. It is important for you to understand that they moralized Compton and they made movies about basketball. All of these educated people like Betsy Stockton, who went to Hawaii and sat with the Queen and came back because she had to come back. That it was her, not Julie Andrews, who was there and had started the first school. You couldn't have that out there, but you have to find it. You have to find it and you have to care when they're saying, we haven't done anything, that right, or we were slaves or this, we got to get our 40 acres and a mule. I'm over it. I never was into it. I was a high yellow girl. So I had to leave this environment of black power and I went out to seek where it's no matter what color you are, it's about what you know and how you hold yourself and your character and the virtue. I never got caught up in all that madness. And here I am today in Hawaii on my own property, you see, with my best friend, where we've had all kinds of successes, you see. And before I left San Francisco, of which I thank God that I did, and you will not believe the adventures that we have had. And they've run all the way up to making news articles. And that's what you're going to do. And I can see it, you're going to be humble and knowledgeable. That's who's going to be listening, you see. And even those dummies that are out there rioting right now, okay, will have nothing except to their own evil people to talk about. Because others will want to slide over, knowing that they was doing wrong. And I'll tell you something, Candace. One of the most important feelings and situations to be in is shame. I mean shame. They've written books about shame. Who was it Sativa wrote? It was one of those philosophers. Do you remember when we discovered that? No? Well, it's 10 minutes and 38 seconds. I want to tell you I'm discursive in my thought. Somebody else can edit it because I'm very profound. No, someone told me I should be humble. They told me that way back. I had so much energy. I had so much talent. I'm gonna tell you where I live and why I had to leave Englewood, New Jersey, because I was never gonna be black enough. Here's a song I was singing, and I was working my way up the ladder so I get out of Company Street and go down to Sleepy Hollow Girls. It was like, huh. And this is the song we sung. Sleepy Hollow girls are quite unique. We are 100 per from head to feet. We have a certain kind of savoir-faire, and with that loyal spirit, we are always there, pioneering in drama, sports, and arts. Sleepy Hollow girls are really smart. Well, the chart, the end of time. We are the best, the very best. We're Sleepy Hollow girls. Right! Now, how could you live in a black community, come home every summer from a Catholic camp to this nonsense of black power and back when I felt for these men who died, but I also knew they were making a sacrifice. This is what people have to understand. That it's not time to riot. It's time to forgive. It's time to get over it. And it's time for you to point out, and I know you'll be able to do it. I know you will be able to do it, Ken. It's just point out the imperfections of this here United States and how my president and your president has worked through it, and that he's catered to them, I believe, enough. And that now we have to come together and we have to decide, and then we have to look at the cause and effect of making those decisions. I was told a long time ago that decisions, they're the opportunity. Decisions are the opportunity. What was that I always used to say? Decisions are, I haven't said it in a long time.
The time of absolute certainty
Never comes. Yeah, the time of absolute certainty never comes. It is interrupted by things called decisions. And up to the time when people got ignorant, and they couldn't see that our president was doing good because they never study economics, and nobody ever told them. So they resent Wall Street. They resent budgets. And you know why? Because they get so much money playing off this thing. We've been done in, and we want reparations and this and that. Who's telling that to them? Some 82-year-old black woman who's going to tell you how it was back then. And she's been doing the same thing ever since she got into Congress. But what some of you people don't know is she's been brought up before the Ethics Committee 6 times. She's been voted the most corrupt congressperson for 6 in a row. I mean, this woman knows how to appropriate the taxpayers' money. It goes all the way back to Head Start. This is ridiculous. She's still asking for Head Start. you know. And what was that? Oh, she was a good organizer, and she had it in with the black community, and that this is how it was going. This is how you suck. That's how. And then you go back and you laugh because you got a piece. You see, that's how they do it. That's how they do it. Jesse Jackson, he pulls his whole thing back. You know, Martin Luther King, he was right there, the blood on his shirt. And then sooner or later people understand, no, how could he have the blood on his shirt when he was down there? And he ran up the stairs. And what did he do? He smeared himself in some of the blood, and then he started pointing. He started pointing at the hotel across the street. But you see, and then he turned that into a career. He's a minister. He's still around. He's sitting with Farrakhan. I got a real beef with Louis Farrakhan. And you know what that is? Because my adopted niece, my sister's, child, is married to one. And I hope that she doesn't hate the United States so much that she could destroy what her auntie believes in. That there's another way to come to the table if you're able and negotiate your dreams. What do we want to tell them, Candace? That progress, it may lead up to not so much time. And you have to be ready. This is why I discovered you have to be ready. And you got to know who it is you have to sway over to the truth. And how they and others over here, because I can talk all about the deep trials and tribulations of the so-called, white privileged ones. It makes me not crack up. It's so sad because over here you got, and over here you got, and the way it starts is it starts over there, and it comes over here, socialism, and there was crackers anyhow, but we let them in. And the people that were in power, they were in there already. And then we sit around and we watch people talk about it on the media. They go, oh, give me something that I can do and insert here that'll upset this one or draw this one in. It's been going on as if the races were ping pong balls. And then you mix it up. You see what they did was, oh, we're not winning. He was in not to win it. And it wasn't into spin it. He was into righteousness. And so he was trying to right it. He saw that there was an imbalance, that this is not how America formed. But there's a lot of people who want to bring death to America because they can't keep up. So they want to blame everybody, blacks and whites. Now they just crazy. They don't care what color. They don't care what contribution you made, that they may have, I can't even come up with the word. I'm getting that old. But, they have a resentment. And then when someone helps someone over here to get to, they don't celebrate. They say, oh, just like you said, and it is true. I've watched it. Candace. I lived it. I'm telling you, through PCP, now it's bath salt. They ain't talking about what's taken over both whatever and whatever, the left and the right. That's what's important. Because this cancer is on both sides of the aisle. Yes, because they have now had to deal with this man, with everything they put in front of him. I smelled it before. This is how they play. But now, he's drained the swamp. He's let us know what is at the bottom of the swamp. He's let us know what he has had to deal with. And I'll tell you something. If you can't respect the man, respect the seat he holds. You see, it is a game. Obama, he's been an intelligence agent since 1981. When Israel invaded the Golan Heights, you see. When then he okayed, and it was okay for Israel to take advantage of the Syrian conflict to, popularize the Golan Heights, which was supposed to be an occupy. This is what people, and they don't let you know what they did before. And you'll never know unless me and Candace tell you. You know, because it's happening. While we're riding in the street, you know, they trying to make Iran look good. Because I can say Howard Jonas likes that because he's been dealing with Iran. You see, all of this has, you know, America, don't go for it. Examine it. You know, whoever you are, examine it. You've been played by the Judas goat. And you have followed him. And now he's leading you off. And you trust. Because this is the person that fed you. This is the goat that led you to your eating stalls and all of that. And then one day, the Judas goat leads, and you think you're going to dinner, but you know, as soon as the goat goes by, the gate is closed, and all of you go a different direction. And those of you, this is my analogy, and those of the sheep who are smart and they are, how you say, intelligent, and they know they better hurry up and go through that gate and follow. Maybe they'll get some, ha ha ha. You know, they're going that way and we're going this way. Follow the Judas goat. But what they don't know is they see their brothers and sisters. They're moving. They think he's moving in the right direction, so they get on the back and they move forward and they find the door is closed. You know, this didn't just happen to African Americans. It happened to the Irish. It happened to the English. It happened to Caucasians in time. It's been happening. And yet, what has not been happening is bringing us all together and seeing if this doesn't stop, we ain't gonna have nothing no more. We won't have to worry about climate change. And you know, I'm gonna tell you something. I've been watching that because the same people that are bringing us the Middle East and all of the stuff all over the world as they capture it. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. These people have investments in shale. And when Obama was in office, he okayed Colorado and I think the governor to go over there and mine it. And they found it. And they found it in other places and they jumped on it. Because by, I think they said 2030, there'll be no use for coal. Because it's reducing, it burns like this. So you can imagine your children want to do like their daddies do, you know, go in there and do hey, that ain't going to be happening. They haven't been trained to do something else, and their kids haven't been. They're counting on that. And then comes along a very wealthy individual, ain't got nothing to do with anything that has to do with anything that has to do. But he gives those people money. And he sits there, he loses, and then he wins. Because this thing is about pinstripe, and that's a whole nother story. This is about the military. This is about intelligence, and I'm telling you something. If there's any people left out there that knows what they know about the romance of Congress and the CIA and the FBI, and some of these people are still alive, or their children who say, yes, I will go. And then when they get out, if they survive, then they get to be a part of if they're smart enough and have the certificate, you know. I never got one, so I forget what they are, certificate of graduation, or they become something, you see. And then we get nothing. And even that education is screwy. You see, forcing people to sit in desks, you know, and somehow or another working with their spine. And before that, you work them with diapers. You know, it changes your hips. It does things. So those ailments and those things that you got as a child, you're suffering from now. All of the displacement, in the way we, deal with things when it comes to the sky. See, I'm discursive. Just take something that interests you. Because I'm always going to tell you, you can go look and you'll find it's in. Here's something so screwy. If you heard it, you say, no, RJ, that couldn't possibly be true. Yeah, well, then go to something called Operation Ocean Spray. Took place in San Francisco. Some ships were out there on the ocean, in the bay. And they shot a bacteria over San Francisco because they wanted to test how far and how it would. So they used a harmless, but yet they wanted to see even if they could practice with it, because they're talking about aim and they're talking about how far. See how it goes? It goes like that. And you say, no, they didn't do it. Yes, they did. And they're still doing it, but they call it chemtrails and they blame it on somebody else. But we're up against the Pentagon. Ain't nobody says anything about the Pentagon. And everybody better understand the Pentagon. Go back and see. They're the ones that are running things. They in the rooms. And outside you have men and 2 women who are calling it for us. But no, themselves. Looks like it's for us, but it's for themselves. I can give you a good example. Now it's talking about shale. Well, that's Rupert Murdoch, and it's Howard Jonas. Now these are 2 men. One is 60, I think, and the other one is in his 80s. And we know all about the media king. We know all about Rupert Murdoch. We know everything about him owning News Corporation. That's one of the men that is laughing and watching and understanding. He's spinning it because he sees the results of his control on the news. And what he's done is he's taken the spontaneity out of the news and he's replaced it with opinion. They get the news and you get the opinion. Hasn't anybody noticed that? Only the people that have seen news reporters, and we have seen them, and journalists when they were in their heyday. It isn't about black or white or who's control. It's a skill. It's a desire. You think that those people over there at CNN, all these people who just talking, you think they're talking because they got somebody from their side sitting across from them, or the only thing they can do is bad rap the person that's on time. You see, I'm trying to reach you in this discursive thought, because take anything and you go look for it, because it's there. Obama made it possible for Israel to go into the Golan Heights, you see, and to get with the president over there, the minister over there. He got the permission or whatever they think they had to go into the Golan Heights and drill 10 wells. And that was 2012. And then, want to know what went on in 2014? Just look at it. The oil transport, the transmission of Ukraine. Oil coming from Russia, going through Ukraine up to Poland and all those, and going around. And they also catered to those who were sending their oil in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia and all of that to the Mediterranean. They would go over to Europe where they don't have any oil, or it would be disguised and go over to China. So you get my drill? Everybody had a piece of the pie until Israel discovered their own oil in the Golan Heights. Now before this, Israel had to buy their oil from whoever would sell it to them. And they've been doing that for a long time. So has China. But now with this oil from Israel, if they come together and they eliminate America somehow, they just go, and America's no longer, that's going to be ugly. But this whole thing with the Middle East, these men who are doing all this, Halliburton and all of this. Very real. They talk about it, but you don't know where to put your finger on it to understand what's going on now. That's a pity. So let me tell you every now and then, and how it relates to politics. And before this whole my blessed Trump came along, nobody was interested in politics. Nobody was interested in whether they was American citizen or that what happens when you let all these people in and make them instant Americans. No more green card. No more green card. You don't have to work. Just come on in. What kind of mentality is that? I'll tell you what kind of mentality that, but that's a whole no. I'm not on drugs. I'm high on the truth. Everybody should know that because it's up here. You see, and I've never been hit. Well, one time, one of my workers I was working with, he dropped a gallon of paint on my. It really affected my nose. But anyhow, Candace, I just want you to meet me, and I want you to ask me good questions. And I want to be able to tell you the absolute truth because I had to leave home. I had to leave home. I was being told one thing, and I somehow noticed because I was a Catholic, raised in a parochial school, I knew that white people were not to be feared, that they were to be get along with, and to make as much opportunity to shake hands and go forward. And that in some way, wherever the hurt has come, we have a way of, after a little while, seeking the truth, we have a way of letting go of all that and move forward. And without any help from these people. I'm taking ain't nobody. You really have to, if you're gonna run, you need to understand wherever it is you're running that you need some people that are gonna, watch your back. They all want what you got, which is an ability to reach our not kind. I can't even do that. Although I'm Nigerian with some, that's what makes me so loud. Yeah, Nigerian and what was the other thing I was? I think there's some other thing. I was French or Spanish, but we're not all just African American because some of us would rather claim that no, I want to have dual citizenship all over the planet. I won't get it. I'm not going to get it. And these are things that our people have not even thought about. And these are the things that nobody taught them. And those are the people who are sitting there still not teaching them, who have not gotten over the power of putting people in their place, whether they're black, white, or indifferent. You see, that's all they can do. This is what community workers, and they taught Obama. He watched just like I did. But he was a CIA agent. He was in the intelligence community. That's why his whole life is so suspect to be nothing more than a lie. And he's a spy. He even gives up on himself just so that we get all, because that's the nature. Is to whip us up, spin us up, let so and so in Nebraska know what's going on. And they say, whoa, because he already knows that that man or woman can be bought. They've been promised, and the higher up you go, the more promises are made, you see, because Obama is getting his, and you won't know where it's coming from. I don't think he's worth $750,000 a gig. No, no. Man can't put. Go and listen to him. I really want all of you that were crazy about Obama, who are now kind of understand, well, yeah, they're not acting like they got any sense. They're acting like anybody could buy them off. And that's not just blacks. The whites, I hate to do this, but Antifa, I'll give them their name. And I'm not sure whether or not, they have been, having their meetings and that wherever they came from, they came. But we're not going to let them mix up, us from them. We're not. And we have to support our army. We have to support our police because they work for you. If someone shot your grandmother in the head and left her to die and told the people who were around them they better not say anything, do you think anybody's gonna say anything? Here, let me ask you a question. Will you say anything? That's the question, you know? And there are people out there who would not say a word. Why? Because they'll come back. You make a stir, they'll be back. If you want to talk about black and white, there's more of everything in our intelligence community, and until we get people in there who know who they are, and you watch because they get hysterical and they start to tell you you're full of whatever. I know how to work them. I know how to work them, Candace, and I want to be one of your biggest fans. Because I can answer questions for you, or I have research that I've already done that you can put in there because you're good at it. You can go back and forward and into the future. And they're going to call you everything but the child of God. But I know you're going to keep moving forward, and you're going to keep picking up people. And the ones in the back will, they'll see that the door is open. They have a choice. They have to remember who is the Judas goat and who is the mhm, mhm, the prayed one, the one who upset and did let us know who's in that swamp. What I want to let you all know is that I never took my eyes off these people. And the amount of handwriting, I just was going over it today. If I'm discursive, I'm really good at it because I tie everything together and then I shoot over because I want you to know that and I want you to know it so that you can come back to the center. And you can shoot off here because too far east is west, too far west is east. And in the center, come on, let's get together. It's I've been waiting for you, Candace. I've been waiting for you. When I look what ended up in Congress, I know who voted. I know who went out there. I call them the Democratic bullies. hmm And they also are how you say, they were they were helped. Okay, they were helped. And they were helped because they was looking at those 82-year-old people saying, this is how you do it, honey. I mean, she did that to Kamala because if she wasn't doing it for a lot of other people, Kamala would have said, that's against the law. That's going to get me in trouble. You know, putting her ads in magazines and then she sets it out to all of her. That's against the law. But when there's no law, there's no law. So, it's coming down to that. And the Supreme Court, you don't think they're coming for you? You don't think the Supreme Court is coming for you? Yes. Do you think that they can get all of the Congress because they want certain people? Yes. Do they have the technology to wipe out and to spray something, BZ, for example, that will turn people violently into the person next to them and go crazy within the mob, turning a mob into it and watching it from above? They can watch it. Yes, I'll show you. I'll show you what it's up because you got to know they're out there. You know, I'm sorry to say they don't read. They don't read the bills. They don't read the resolutions. They just be told, yeah, this is a good one. Yeah, you do this, you'll get a 2 million. Then you can put it over here and you can look good. And so when you get, please, please, yeah, I come from people who were born. My adopted father was born in 1903. My mother was born in 1909. Both of these people survived the Depression. They worked, they were liked, and not because they were Uncle Tom's or Miss Ann's, but because they had talents and they had a mind and they brought what they knew from the late 1800s into the 20th century. And it's incredible. And that's where I got all my start in research because I was able to go back and see. And then I radiated out. Like, let me give you another example. Aristotle Onassis, you see. Oh my goodness, we're talking about a Greek gangster. And that's how you get Spiro Agnew. And then that's how you find out about who is importing the poppies into America. And you see that it's the Bush family. Oh yeah. Why do you think they called their father and their grandfather Poppy? So did my father they called him Poppy. Hmm. So the main thing I want you to understand as we come into this wonderful hour of Mission Possible, I was moved. I am a television, not cable access individual, and my mentor, Dangerous George, he with two other people, they started, cable access in San Francisco, and how they got it was they said to the people that was laying the lines, they said, well, you gonna have all these lines, and you got to give us a line, and they did, and they put together fabulous. When I got there, they had been doing it for some time. And when I met Dangerous George Williams, I knew I was home. All my research, everything was in place. Now, until I met you, I have watched you grow, Candace. And I tell you something, I'm so proud of you. And it got nothing to do with you being black. It has nothing to do with anything other than you are one of the most intelligent communicators I have ever seen. Beside myself, you know. So please continue. Please keep climbing that ladder. There's no reason for you to run. Just let the other people run, you know. So this is R.J. Hampton. And this is Mission Possible, talking to one of the most incredible human beings to come around in a long time.